So this is something that I'd worked on previously, and now you're just seeing it's a little bit more of a finished product. I'm going to be coloring it at some point as well. Now we're going to go into the actual page.
It's great to see how much that character has come to life. It's incredible the difference from one to now. It's just been amazing to see what's happened there.
For this first panel, it's a close up of the screwdriver being held by Sam as they're trying to like get the door open. So I actually had to figure out
Mhm.
like an old door that has like screws in it, what that would look like so that we get a sense of like this isn't a new door. This is a door that may have been around for a while. And
Exactly.
there is some dialogue here, which would be off panel because we're not seeing Sam actually in that panel, at least fully. Then there's going to be these are what I like about this. So if we think about like the previous 3 pages, there's a lot of development of Sam and the way that they move. And now we're
Mhm.
kind of these are close-ups of uh Sam doing something. So it changes, it varies things up a little bit, which I like when you're doing pages. And I'll just zoom out a little bit here. And you have these thumbnails that you can get a sense of like the flow of the page where you have a big panel, some medium-sized panels, some small panels, and then maybe page two, they're all medium-sized to smaller size. So it just you want to vary your panels just if you can. Obviously, you're going to be doing the story the best you can. So if it requires similar types of pages for each one, you're going to go in that direction, especially if that's the direction the writer wants you to go in. But as I had mentioned before, having different kinds of panels on each page, an establishing shot, a medium like action shot, or a close up uh, emotional shot. Having those kinds of panels in there will make your page vary up because usually an establishing shot is a bit larger than, let's say, a close up shot or an action shot. And then that's not always the case, really, but it gives you the ability to have variety. So going back to page four, um, we're working close here with
Yeah, because page 4, as we talked about, this is now that escalation page, right? Where now Sam is really taking action and trying to solve their own problems, and mostly in not good ways. So, as Keith mentioned, we're starting with that screwdriver where he's kind of controlled but scratching at the door. So, that's how we're starting. And then we're seeing those scrapings, right? The paint, the wood, like he's really going at this to try and get through this door that will not open. So that's kind of our first couple panels there. And then when we get into the third one, that's when we try the knob, right? This is where we've had sort of that like trying to take control of the situation and maybe the knob will work again and anger, right? So we're really seeing the emotions kind of move around. And Keith had noted making that sort of a medium shot of pulling. So it's kind of that take us back to page 1 where, Sam tried first off and it didn't work. We're back there again, but now as opposed to just being like, "Oh, I wonder why this isn't opening." Now we're mad that this isn't opening. So the emotion has shifted greatly in a few pages. So that's kind of that first sequence of action at the top of this page here. Then, of course, Sam's going to continue with their anger and strike the door. We're not going full axe murderer on it, but it's got that kind of a feeling to it. So yeah, if you look at that, that is the emotion now getting to Sam, getting a little frantic and just kind of banging on the door here to try in some way to break through this.
yeah. And then I just want to say that when I'm trying to figure out like what Sam's emotional state is, the movements they make in regards to their actions. When I'm reading the script, I may draw some of those types of actions just to see what that feels like or that looks like. Because things may change, you may have to go with some different kinds of shots eventually. But also, if the shot itself worked really well when you were drawing it as like a study, there's no reason why you can't use it again in
Mhm.
the actual uh, thumbnail, or even if it's like if it's a really good, going back to this, it's a finished illustration for the most part. You can just, you know, either if you're doing this traditionally, you can just um, do like where you sketch over it onto like your actually finished page. You can take like a if you get like some kind of real thin paper, you can just sketch on top. If you're digital, then you can just copy and paste, right? So there's nothing wasted, in other words. But um, this is just a great way for you to, even if you don't use it, you just get a really good sense of the character when you're doing all those little action doodles.
And I think it's also important to note that because we are treating this door like the character, we're seeing the door change, right? So it's almost like even with all of this, Sam, it's taunting Sam back, right? Because even though he's injuring the door is still standing firm. Because then we head into the next panel and we see that it's visibly scarred and scuffed, and Sam's hair is messy and their eyes are tired, and it's like they've had a fight with themselves essentially because the door is just steadfast, just standing there. So, Keith had noted that this was that scrunched up head, like, bowed down, like this is a fight. Sam is having a fight with the door slash themselves. And then our final sort of panel on this page here is when Sam slumps against the wall, the door is huge beside them. And this is like that a bit of retreat almost, that like, "Ugh, I've given my all, nothing happened. What do I do now?"
One of the things that I like about this page is that I think this one kind of broke through as to like, oh, this door is a character. Like I started to actually think about the door's perspective, both physical and literal, like a in a way where uh, figurative, I guess, more figurative in a literal way, which is we're actually going to be doing some of these shots as if we're seeing over the shoulder of the door, right? Something like that to make it feel like the door is seeing what this person is doing. So I have to, I may, in that last panel, I may change it up to make it more like that. But for now, I'm just um, going to, like have it so that it's part of, the story, a much more integral part where the door is almost taunting this character.
Yeah, and it's great to see all of the pages and panels laid out next to each other like this to really see how the story has progressed in such really a short amount of time through these emotions and through this mental state to get us to where we are at the end of page 4. So now we're heading into page 5, which is going to start with the first panel of Sam on the floor, just spent, like done. Tools nearby, the research nest is chaos, the plant is dead, and the door dominates. So Sam has lost, right? This is the all is lost moment for Sam. They've given up. So that's sort of how we're starting into this page. And then in the next panel, stillness and a small sound from the door. So this is, we talked about a close up of Sam with their heads smushed on the floor, their eyes closed, and the creak. Something just happened.
So one of the things that I'm thinking about are like, do I want to have some of these panels open, some of them closed?
Hmm.
What I mean by that is, if I were to let this panel bleed to the edges here, does that make it more impactful because it feels like it's coming off the page? Um, or am I going to close it up to make it more claustrophobic? So these are some of the things that I'm thinking about, and I may change it up just depending on what I do up with other pages and other panels. But like for example, going back to page 4, I am. thinking that panel 5 is gonna be open, and then the last panel is gonna be closed almost to make it feel like it is a bit more claustrophobic. But then
Mhm.
I may change my mind. Who knows, right? But with panel 1 and page 5, for now, I feel like it could be open. Now,
Mhm.
one of the things you wanna think about when you're, planning your pages like this, because you see I have page 4 and 5 where they're gonna be open together. If I am gonna have an open panel or a bleeding, uh, uh, panel so that it's coming to the edges, if I have on the previous page closed panels, uh, it works really well. But if let's say um, page 4, panel 3 is open and you're opening it up, it might feel like it should continue on. So be careful with stuff like that, right? So you always want to, again, one of the reasons why thumbnails are so great, they're small and you can make these changes really quickly on the fly. Therefore, you can see, you get a complete picture of what your story is going to look like, and you're going to be able to um, plan for all these things before you get to a finished page.